Hello and welcome. Welcome to Around the Town with Mark. I am Mark Whalen, your host, and we're always glad to have you tune in and visit with us. Well, we know that our area is just full of all kinds of great things to do, great places to visit. And on Around the Town with Mark, we've certainly talked about a lot of these wonderful places and given you lots of information. Well, today we're going to talk about something that's fairly new. It is a park, but not a park in the normal sense. It has many different parts that come together to make one terrific park. I'm talking about the Thames River Heritage Park. My guest today is going to tell us all there is to know about this park, so allow me to introduce Amy Perry, who is the Interim Executive Director of the Thames River Heritage Park. Amy, welcome to Around the Town with Mark.
Thanks so much, Mark. So happy to be here.
Well, we're very happy to have you here today to talk about this wonderful part of life in southeastern Connecticut and around Groton and New London. So please introduce yourself to our viewers and tell us a little bit about your connection with the Heritage Park.
Happy to do so. So I have been with the Heritage Park now just since October. Took over from a woman who actually really guided the whole process of creating the park, which was Penny Parsekian.
Yes.
And we all know and love Penny.
We certainly do. She's been a guest here as well.
And she's been an amazing mentor for me.
Terrific.
So the park was obviously very new last year. They started the water taxis sort of mid-season. So this year, entering into it will be actually our first full year of operation. So we're very excited about that. And there's a lot new about the park.
Well, we're going to talk about all those things that are new. So let's first give our viewers an overview of the park, because as I mentioned in the introduction, it's not one single park in the sense of what people might think. It's not a destination to go on its own. There's 20 sites? Almost.
Yes.
So give us an overview then of what exactly is the Thames River Heritage Park.
Sure. So we consider, so it is a state park, not in the true sense, but the state was very much fundamental behind the creation of the park. And it's the only heritage park in the state of Connecticut. We call it a park without boundaries. And so what it is a collection of national and historic sites along both sides of the Thames River, linked by a water taxi that tell the story of our country and our region over the last 400 years.
We have a picture of the water taxi up on their screen now.
Yeah.
There we go. Yep.
So it's meant to be a network of communities and institutions and people and stories, all connected by our historic waterfront.
It's
that's
a wonderful idea.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. So when does your season get started this year? It's your second season.
It's our second season, and we're in countdown mode now. We launch on the Friday of Memorial Day, May 26th, which is late next week.
Yeah, coming up.
Yeah, and we run through September 17th. We operate Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Although many of the park sites will be open different hours, not specifically the hours of the taxi because they're independent sites, which we can talk about.
Certainly.
But the taxi operation itself is from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Friday, Saturday, and Sundays.
All right, and there are, I believe, you actually can board the water taxi in 3 different spots, is that correct?
Absolutely. So there are 3 landing sites. One is at City Pier in downtown New London, and it's right behind Union Station. Then the taxi goes over to Thames River Landing, which is in Groton, right at the base of Fort Griswold. And then it goes over to Fort Trumbull, which is, again, back on the New London side. So it does a hop-on, hop-off continuous loop between those 3 landing sites, and it takes 1 hour total. So it's 20 minutes, 20 minutes, and 20-minute legs for each.
So really, for our viewers and your visitors, you could spend a day and just ride the water taxi and go back and forth between New London and Groton, and I take it a lot of these sites are within walking distance of each of these landings?
Most of them are. A 1 round-trip ticket gets you 1 full loop at your convenience.
Okay.
So you could stop at Fort Griswold and maybe visit Avery Cop House and maybe stop for lunch at Paul's Pasta.
Yeah.
And the same thing would be true if you were in New London, do a few sites, have a drink or dinner, and then continue on.
So really, you can make a easily make a full day,
and almost a weekend if you were so inclined.
And it's also, of course, we're talking about the water taxi. It's a great opportunity just to take a boat ride.
We've learned that so many people who have lived here all their lives never have had a chance to really get on the water and see what their hometown looks like from the water's view.
Yeah.
It's just spectacular to be able to give that opportunity. And it's a time to cool off in the summer. You know, getting on a boat is a really wonderful way to cool off or wind down after work. Just take a quick boat ride just to chill.
And what a wonderful opportunity for people that live in the area when they have family or friends coming in to visit. What a great opportunity and a great way of showing our area and sharing with them not just that water experience, which is key to where we live, but all these beautiful historic sites.
Absolutely. And so you don't really have to give up anything. You can still be outside, you can still be on the water, and you can still be touring historic sites and be learning some things about the area all at the same time. So that's terrific. And we did find that a lot of people did bring guests last year, and we're only hoping that that continues. One of the things we talk about with taking advantage of the taxi is to get a season pass, because the season pass is quite a bargain. For $50 for the entire summer, longer than summer, you can ride the water taxi all the days, all the rides, all season.
So $50 give you basically unlimited
rides
from May till September.
Yes.
That's a terrific deal.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It
and
is.
do you have other levels of sponsorships or membership levels that you seek?
Yes, we do. So membership at the park, there are two levels. One is $100 and one is $200, which is a patron. A membership gets you a season pass. It gets you park updates, as well as merchant promotions that are applicable to the season pass, which we can talk about in a little bit. And then obviously the knowledge that you're supporting the programming and the outreach and the water taxi operations. And then there are corporate sponsorships as well, which we're pretty far into this season, but always happy to take on new ones.
Oh, I would imagine. Well, before we talk about that aspect of the parks, let's talk a little bit about some of the stops that people would see.
Yeah.
Maybe I think you mentioned that the Avery Cop House Museum was one of them.
That's right. So the Avery Cop House is obviously on the Groton side of the bank.
Of that right there.
Yep, and I'm sure many of your viewers are familiar with it. It's such a beautiful home. You know, multiple generations. The beautiful story there with costume tour guides. Like it's kept as if people were living in it 100 years ago. It's a Victorianized colonial house museum. And the Avery Cop House was very instrumental in getting the Thames River Heritage Park going.
And then, of course, it's right there in Thames Street.
Right there on the Thames Street.
Very close to the landing, is that correct?
It's a 10-minute walk from the landing to Avery Park. Yep.
Wonderful.
Yep, right along the water.
Right along the water.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah. And some of the other sites that we have?
Yes. So some of the others on the Groton Bank would be the Ebenezer Avery House, which is a Revolutionary War historic home, right around the corner from Fort Griswold.
Wonderful. There we have a picture of that home. And again, that's also a museum house that's from the 18th century.
That's right.
And it's a wonderful place to visit.
Yes, it
is.
Also,
just
like wonderful stories.
Avery Cop House Museum. You walk in and you can almost feel like you're living in that area, that time frame.
I know. Beautifully kept, maintained.
Yeah. And now those are the two premier ones on the Groton side.
And Fort Griswold would be our anchor, what we call our anchor.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So that is a huge draw, as you can imagine, and a lot of opportunity there. Obviously, you can climb in the monument. There's stories to be told in the Monument House, and obviously, it's Benedict Arnold's story is a big part of Fort Griswold.
Certainly. And of course, Fort Griswold, you have the fort to visit.
Yes.
You've got the monument, the museum, and then really the grounds, and then just the general area of Groton Bank, where the Griswold is a beautiful historic area.
That's
of captains' homes and things like that.
That's right.
So again, a wonderful walking opportunity.
Significant 18th and 19th century architecture in the Groton Bank.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, it's a beautiful neighborhood,
Yes.
and again, an opportunity for people to really experience different parts of our history.
Yes, and one of the things we're developing for that particular area of the park is a walking tour of the architectural sites in the Boston, in the Groton Bank. There'll be about 40 different homes and buildings that will be called out that you'll be able to listen to and read about and walk.
I don't know who you're using, but I know we have several wonderful noted historians in our area.
I think it may be one of them. Andy German is the man that's doing the walking tour for us there.
Wonderful.
In collaboration, I'm sure, with Jim Streeter and Tom Altis.
Tom Altis, yep. All great people and all have a world of knowledge up there that's about our wonderful history in our area. And so then we go across to New London.
That's right. So again, you can pick up the boat either at City Pier and behind the Union Station or over at Fort Trumbull. Fort Trumbull, again, is one of our anchor sites, a spectacular fort that opened, I think in 2003.
Yep, there's the fort right there.
Yeah. It's got a world-class museum, visitor center and museum, small but world-class. Going up on the ramparts at Fort Trumbull is the most spectacular view you can imagine. There aren't many places you can see down so far in both directions of the river. So I highly recommend people take a trip over there. And then there's a wonderful fishing pier that's open all the time, Pier 7, that's very popular as well. So over at New London, again, we have the Monte Cristo Cottage, which was Eugene O'Neill's summer home when he was growing up. It's the setting for Long Day's Journey into Night, his most popular play. Obviously, he's our only American Nobel Prize-winning playwright. And in New London, we have the Custom House Maritime Museum in downtown New London, which has the Amistad story, which oversees all the lighthouses in the area. We have Nathan Hale Schoolhouse, which American Patriot. You realize when you start being participating in the park and visiting the park, how much history there is right in just a few square miles, and how much this area played a role in how our country was really shaped. It's extraordinary, really.
Yep. And then there's the Shaw Mansion, I believe. We have a picture of that.
That's right.
That we can show.
So the Shaw Mansion, it was a naval headquarters during the Revolutionary War. It is home to priceless artifacts and documents, and in fact, it has one of the 14 original American flags right there in the Shaw Mansion. It also is home to Joshua Hempstead's diaries, who was at the Hempstead House. He's basically the diarist of the colonial time. He wrote in it every day for about 50 years. So.
One thing that as soon as we're talking about the two sides of the river, that I've said before on the show is when you look over from one side to the other, they're so close, but yet they're so far. Because, for most people, the only way to get from one side of the river to the other is over the Gold Star Bridge. So this is connecting two very important parts of our community.
That were so connected up until probably the time we all started getting in our cars.
Yes.
Because, the ships were built in New London, but all the people who built the ships lived in Groton.
And there used to be the ferry service that would go back and forth.
That's right,
and when you look over to New London, there's also the train station and the ferry terminal. So this is also an opportunity really for people to have an alternate transportation across.
Yes, and with the bridge being under construction, we highly recommend that people consider using the water taxi as some transportation.
Yeah, exactly.
It's certainly a much nicer way than getting on 95. But the other thing about the taxi, the park, and the overall goal of the park is this idea of collaboration and community. This is a very unique situation where the municipalities of the city of Groton and the city of New London and the town of Groton are all working together to create this seamless and consistent experience across their towns and across the river. And the idea of forgetting that the river divides us, it really brings us together. And our history is a big part of what brings us together, because we all share it so greatly.
Yeah, it is so true. And I love the way you said that it's bringing the two sides together. The New London and Groton, where, like I said, so many people look across the way and they don't get to experience it that much and have that beautiful boat ride and the same time.
That's right.
Take the kids, have
That's right.
lunch on one side of the river, have dinner on the other side of the river. It's just wonderful.
And the boats themselves have their own heritage. They're naval vessels, and they were assigned to significant ships in their own history. So you're just riding the ships. The taxis gives you a sense of history.
If we could, of the water taxi. There we go.
Yeah.
That's one view of obviously looking inside the boat. And then I think we also have a view of outside of the boat. There we go, just so people can really get an idea of what it looks like. It's actually quite large. It looks quite comfortable.
It holds comfortably about 35 people. You can bring a drink on it, just no glass. You can bring your snack or your lunch.
Wonderful, okay.
And it's certainly comfortable enough to do something like that. This one shot that we're showing, I just wanted to point out, is at the beginning of last season, we brought together representatives from all of the park sites to get together and share some information about their respective heritage site, because even though they might be down the street from one another, they might not know that much about one another. So it got a chance for them to get out on the water, experience the taxi, meet some new people, meet the people who are operating and representing other heritage organizations, and letting everyone get a little bit more knowledgeable about this area. Yeah.
One thing I think it's important too to mention, because everybody might be thinking about, oh gosh, parking. But I know at least on the Groton side, there's a parking lot dedicated to that.
There is, and in New London, there's lots of parking at Fort Trumbull. There's a very large parking lot right there.
Okay.
There is a Water Street Garage right in New London, and we have a new municipal lot right behind the stores in Bank Street that has hundreds and hundreds of parking spaces. So there is parking. I know parking is always something that comes up, but there is plenty of parking.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was important to mention parking, because it really is very easy. There's no excuse not to take this water taxi and visit this heritage park.
That's right. And those people who live locally, you could, find your way downtown, either whether an Uber or ride your bike or walk, and then you won't have to worry about parking. And then you've got the taxi to take you everywhere.
Tell a friend in New York City, hey, just hop on a train and come visit me for the day. Get off in New London, and we're gonna take you on a great boat ride and historic tour.
Well, that was like a beautiful segue for what I was hoping to share with you.
Okay.
We have a promotion and a partnership with Shoreline East.
Oh,
and
great.
So those passengers at Shoreline East who buy a Shoreline East ticket can get 10% off a season pass for the water taxi. Shoreline East is promoting us all across the shoreline. We have a couple billboards going up in June. Take the trains to the Thames. We'll have posters in the train stations. We have some ads. So we're working hard to really create this collaboration, this partnership that's really a big part of what the park is all about, what makes it unique. So yes, if you are thinking of even going down to New York, take the water taxi if you're on this side of the river and hop on Shoreline East.
Exactly. Park the car right there, that lot, walk to the water taxi and take a boat ride, then take a train ride.
That's right.
That's right. Sounds like a lot of fun.
It does.
Yeah, it really does. And so volunteers, are you actively seeking help from volunteers?
Yes, we would love to have a core of volunteers who are interested being outside, helping visitors to direct them to where the sites are, directions for how to get around, where they can have dinner. Just for ambassadors. We're looking for park ambassadors, people who just like to interact with other people, who be willing to help us with survey information. We took surveys last year, and it really provided some really important information to know who was riding the taxi, where they were from, how old they were, how they heard about us. So getting new survey information will be very important.
Okay.
In small segments, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever people are comfortable giving. I think a couple hours is probably a great amount of time to enjoy talking to people and sending them in the right direction to where they have to be.
And being part of the water and volunteering, but having fun.
Yes.
Having fun, being on the water maybe, and riding across back and forth, and
telling people a little bit about what they're gonna see when they get over to the other side, respective side. Yep.
Now,
Yep.
do you have, I think you have some special events coming up, is that correct?
We've started, we started scheduling some tours, and we'll have many more to come. Obviously, the park has almost 19 site locations, and many of those places will have events themselves. Right, so we will promote them, whether it's the Custom House has lighthouse tours, and the Hempstead House has Juneteenth, and those kinds of things. The park will be having tours. We have 2 lined up right now. One is June 8th at 6:30, leaving from City Pier, and it's called 4 Centuries in 90 Minutes, and it's hosted by Deborah Donovan, who's the past president of the New London County Historical Society. And so she will be talking a lot about industry along the shore, shipbuilding, whaling, pharmaceuticals, submarines, forts, etc. So that's at the beginning of June. And then June 15th, Leslie Evans and Jim Streeter will be giving a tour called Whalers and Pirates and Traders and More.
Oh, that sounds like
fun.
A lot of fun and
that's
a
right.
whole lot of stuff wrapped into that title.
That's right. 90 minutes as well, which will be leaving Friday night, June 16th at 7 p.m. And our website has all of this information.
Okay, I think right there on our screen we've got the information, the website, and the address. So anyone, please, any information you need, write that website down.
Absolutely. And the other thing that we have launching that will help our visitors is a mobile app. So there's a mobile app that people can download and have an audio component as they're visiting the different sites. It's got a map embedded in it. It's got a list of an itinerary that you can follow in any order of all of the sites, and very helpful for people who are typically digitally.
That's really good to mention, because these days that's just about how everybody is doing things, especially if you want to attract the younger crowd.
That's right.
You got to have something like that going on.
So we have the mobile app, we have our website. We will have printed maps and guides for those people who still like to hold some paper. Some of us still do.
Oh yeah, I'm one of those.
That's right. And we also have merchant promotions for those people who buy a water taxi ticket and or have a season pass. If they go to our website, there will be merchant specials that all they have to do is show their water taxi ticket. And if they show it, they'll get a particular percentage off. The guard is listed on there. I think they'll get $7 off, a live performance. Good, very, very good promotions, gifts with purchase that are specific to water taxi riders and water taxi season holders. So we're very excited about that.
You've come a long way in a year with this Heritage Park.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Very excited.
Do you have a large committee that's doing all this together? I know you've talked a little bit about the collaboration with the various governments and things like that.
Well, I have a board of directors and I have a communications committee. My background is in marketing. So most of the things we're talking about I was able to develop with obviously a lot of help. Obviously a lot of help. Yeah.
Well, I just think this Heritage Park it's like, what took it so long?
Well, yeah.
No, and I don't. That's not a criticism.
No, it started in the '60s, in 1960s.
Really, and I've been living here since then.
The idea.
Because it's such a wonderful idea.
Yes.
And
the next phase will be even more exciting when we get a dock at the Nautilus Museum, which we're hoping, and we seem to be, it looks promising that we will have a dock there. And when we do, it will exponentially grow this organization, because the Nautilus Museum gets almost 150,000 people a year. So if even 10% of them jump on the water taxi, that's significant.
So that would just be another added 20 minutes to the...
I think we may have to come up with a second route, because it's a little longer there. Those people who kind of want to ride and jump off and jump on will maybe be dealing with the taxi route, and then if you want to go further down the river, maybe that's a back and forth. We haven't really figured that out yet, because then what will hopefully come next will be the Coast Guard Museum. And of course, there's already a water taxi there, but it will just grow the visitorship that we would have to accommodate, which is a problem we're happy to happy to
Oh,
accommodate.
it's a good problem to
Yeah.
have, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, this Heritage Park is just everything that our area is all about, because we all are about water,
That's right.
and we're about history, we're about the military, and another opportunity, somebody might be able to see a submarine coming or going.
Well, that's the one thing that we can say, and when I do give talks, I do talk about that there's no other park probably in the world that can say there's a good possibility that you could see a submarine escorted by a tugboat go by. I mean, how extraordinary is that? And even those of us who've lived here most of our lives stop and look.
Yes.
When we see a submarine
We
go by.
always do.
All
Yeah,
of us do.
it never gets old. It's
Never.
always very, very special.
Never.
And it's something that we're very fortunate in
Yes.
our area, of course, because
And
we love our military.
That's right, and exactly. And adding to the Nautilus and the Submarine Force Museum only makes that connection even stronger, because I'm sure there are many people who live locally who have never been to that museum.
Right.
And it's free, and if we can get them on the taxi to get down there, then we're just educating people even more about their.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you're bringing awareness about all the wonderful things
That's
that we
right.
have in our area. Even just looking at the lighthouses.
I know.
As you're taking that boat ride, or seeing the other side of what it looks like an electric boat,
That's
and
right.
maybe seeing part of a submarine under construction. That's also something that most people don't get to experience.
No, and with the production going forward, they're going to be seeing a submarine in production for many years.
Yeah.
There are a lot of them going to be
So,
built.
I mean, it's just
really great.
It's just wonderful. As
really
we're
great.
winding down for our last
Yes.
couple of minutes, is there something that I haven't asked or that we haven't touched on that's important that we should?
Well, two other things that aren't important, but I think your viewers would like to know, that not only do we have historic tours on the water taxi, but we have sunset cruises and late morning cruises as well. So if you just want to, enjoy the sunset, they're on our events calendar. I think they're almost every Friday night and every Saturday morning, I think. Don't quote me on that, they're on the site. But repeating all summer long. And that's a wonderful way to, again, when you have visitors.
And, as you mentioned earlier, if you can bring a beverage or a snack,
That's right.
you can have a glass of wine and some little cheese
That's
or something
right.
like that, and have a
wonderful.
sunset cruise.
That's right.
I think that's pretty
It's wonderful.
special.
Yeah, it is.
I think that's really special.
That's
well, Penny,
right.
I want to thank you so much for being my guest today and sharing with us this wonderful, wonderful Thames River Heritage Park that's coming.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all the work that you're doing to bring this to us, because I think it's wonderful.
Thanks.
And I want to thank our viewers for tuning in, of course, today. And be sure to put the Thames River Heritage Park on your calendar this season. It's a great opportunity to get out on the water, have a boat ride, see the history on both sides of the river, take some walks in our historic neighborhoods. It's just a wonderful opportunity to experience the richness that we have in our area around here, because it's truly special. And bring family, invite friends from out of town, have them come in on the train, whatever. Just really enjoy and make full use of this wonderful park. We're going to have another show coming up for you real soon. I always appreciate having you tune in to visit with us. And again, thank you for tuning in today, and we'll see you back very soon.